Hi, I'm Tyler Perry, and I'll be reading a poem from my forthcoming collection of poetry, Plausible Wrong Answers, which is coming out with Frontenac House this October as part of the Quartet 2020 series. The poem I'll be reading is a glossa, which is a form of poetry in which the poet borrows 4 consecutive lines from another poet's poem and incorporates them at the end of each of 4 10-line stanzas of their own poem. This poem is called The Funeral in Her Brain. I felt a funeral in my brain, and the mourners to and fro kept treading, till it seemed that sense was breaking through. Emily Dickinson, Poem 340. I make my students recite poetry, and they hate me for it. They stand up in front of the class with their voices scratched like well-loved vinyl. They run the needle of their insight along the fine groove of the long-dead poet's vein and amplify a meaning that's been liquefied, warped, and reshaped into their version of that poet's pain. I felt a funeral in my brain when I heard Emily Dickinson's words scraped through the weariness of a 19-year-old girl whose father was killed 2 years ago, and whose mother alternates between getting dressed up for an evening at the VLTs or bald on the couch in the glow of infomercials, picking scabs on her forearms and plucking out the hairs from her scalp, one piece at a time, brushing over to let it grow. And mourners, to and fro, walk up and down the front steps, bringing beer and bourbon, wanting to break her mother out of that funk, but always leaving before it's time to dump the ashes down the sink and press wadded paper towels on the soggy, drink-soaked carpet. The friends who teamed in the night before all sifted themselves into the early morning drift of rumpled walkers, while the daughter, cleaning, tired, steamed, kept treading, till it seemed that her mother was just another stained blanket draped over the side of the couch, and that lunch would be stale bread and jam, and that the only sleep she might get would be on the C train ride into school that morning, on her way to English class. The poem crumpled in her hand. She proceeded to chew the skin around her nail until it bled, pressed the side of her face against the cool winter glass, and muttered Emily's lines methodically until she knew that sense was breaking through.